Have you ever stopped to think about how a truly massive company, one of the big ones, actually functions? I don't mean the simple org chart you might see in a presentation. I mean the real, living, breathing structure underneath it all. Well, today, we're going to deconstruct it. We're pulling back the curtain on the amazing digital system that acts as a company's digital twin, making all that invisible complexity visible.
So let's start with a big fundamental question. How does a company with, say, 50,000 employees, or, hey, even 100,000, keep track of everybody? Who they are, what they do, who they report to, how much they get paid? I mean, the scale is just mind-boggling. The answer, as you might guess, lies in this incredibly sophisticated digital blueprint, and we're about to see exactly how it's built.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at that digital blueprint for the whole company. Then, we'll actually create a digital employee from the ground up. We're going to follow her through promotions and some really complex work assignments. Then we'll peek behind the scenes at the rules that make it all happen automatically. And finally, we'll talk about why this whole digital structure is so incredibly important for any modern company.
Okay, first up, the blueprint itself. And let me tell you, it's way more complicated than most of us probably think.
We've all seen the classic org chart, right? It's this neat and tidy pyramid. It shows who reports to whom. Simple. But the reality? It's more like a complex web. A beautiful mess, really. Your direct manager, your main boss, is still there, of course. That's the solid line. But the key to understanding how work really gets done today is in those dotted lines. They represent your matrix managers, your project leads, all those other connections that define your day-to-day.
So that's the big picture. But how does one person, a single employee, actually fit into this blueprint? Well, let's follow a new hire, we'll call her Jane, and watch as the system builds her digital identity piece by piece.
It all starts with the absolute foundation, Jane's personal information. This is the simple stuff, the who you are data. Her name, her address, birthday, the basic details that identify her as a unique human being. But that, of course, is just the first layer.
Next, we layer on her employment information. Now, this is the legal stuff. It defines her official relationship with the company. When was she hired? What kind of contract does she have? Is she full-time, part-time? Think of this as her digital contract, the formal agreement. And finally, we add her job information. This is what she actually does. It links her to a department, a location, and, this part is absolutely critical, a unique position. Now, a position is like a specific slot or a box in the organization, and really understanding that Jane, the person, is different from the position she holds, that's kind of the secret to how this whole system works so well.
Okay, let's see this digital identity in action. Jane is crushing it at her job, and she earns a well-deserved promotion. Now, inside the system, this is not just a simple title change. Oh no. It's a major event that kicks off an entire chain of automated processes.
See, a promotion isn't just a new title and a pay bump. When Jane moves into her new, more senior role, she is actually leaving her old position behind. That old position is now vacant. The system knows this instantly, which means it can be backfilled. This whole concept is called position management, and it's an incredibly powerful tool for workforce planning. But before any of that is official, it has to go through an approval workflow. So her manager kicks off the change, and the system just springs to life. It's like a set of digital dominoes. It automatically triggers a workflow that was defined ahead of time. It knows that this kind of promotion needs a sign-off from, say, an HR business partner and maybe a department head. The request just appears in their approval queues, and only when they both click approve does the system make the change official. It's totally efficient, it's trackable, and it's all under control.
And the logic behind this is just so simple but so powerful. Nothing happens by accident. The system is designed so that no change is processed until the right person gives it the green light. This makes sure every major decision is deliberate, it's signed off, and it leaves a perfect digital paper trail.
But let's be real, modern careers aren't a simple ladder anymore, are they? They get messy, they get complicated. And this is where the system's ability to handle these sophisticated relationships really starts to shine.
So let's say Jane gets assigned to lead a big, important project. She still has her direct manager, that's the solid line, but now she also gets a matrix manager just for this project. That's our dotted line. The system handles this seamlessly. It allows both managers to have the right level of visibility and input into her work, her performance, and her goals, all within their own specific context. But things can get even more interesting. Jane does such a great job, she's offered a 1-year global assignment in a totally different country. Now, to handle this, the system doesn't just change her location field. No, it actually creates a second, concurrent employment for her. For a year, she will have 2 active jobs in the system at the exact same time.
Okay, so why on earth would you create 2 jobs? It's all about keeping things clean and separate. Her main, primary employment in her home country still handles her main salary and her long-term career path. But her new, secondary assignment is tied to the host country's legal entity, its payroll system, and its specific local laws. So for all the really critical stuff, payroll, taxes, compliance, the system treats them as 2 completely separate digital identities.
And the #1 driver for all this complexity? Compliance. It's a huge deal. Data privacy laws like GDPR have really strict rules about where employee data can be stored and for how long. By creating these 2 distinct employments, the company can make sure it's following the rules in Jane's home country and her host country at the same time. It's a really elegant solution to a very, very tricky legal puzzle. So you're probably wondering, how does the system know to do all of this stuff automatically? Is there some kind of magic happening? Well, not exactly. Let's take a quick peek under the hood at the logic that's really powering this whole digital twin. It really just boils down to 2 core ideas. On one side, you have what are called foundation objects. These are the company's basic building blocks. Think of them like a giant box of Legos, a list of all the company's legal entities, all its departments, all its job codes, all its locations. And then on the other side, you have business rules. This is the simple if-then logic that tells the system what to do with those Lego bricks. For example, if an employee gets promoted in Germany, then trigger the special German promotion approval workflow. It's that simple. And the final piece of this whole puzzle is the HRS sync. Once Jane's promotion is fully approved in the main HR system, this sync process automatically pushes her updated information out to every other tool that's connected to it. Instantly, her new title pops up in the learning platform, her new salary is sent over to payroll, and her new role is reflected in the performance management tool. It's the magic that makes sure the data is consistent absolutely everywhere, all the time. Okay, so we've gotten pretty deep into the what and the how. But let's pull back up for a second and wrap up with the most important part. Why? Why does having this complex, robust digital structure matter so much? Well, the payoff is just massive. First, it drives huge efficiency by automating all those tedious manual processes. Second, it ensures compliance with that maze of global rules and regulations we talked about. Third, it gives leaders a strategic, real-time view into their entire organization. And maybe, most importantly, it enables people, like our friend Jane, to have flexible global careers, because the company finally has a digital backbone that's strong enough to support them. And the scope here is just huge. We've only touched on a couple of events in Jane's career, but a modern HR system like this is built to handle over 20 distinct moments in an employee's life cycle. From the day they're hired, to a promotion, to a leave of absence, to their retirement, every single step is captured, managed, and organized. This digital twin of the organization is already incredibly sophisticated, but it's not standing still. It's evolving all the time. And that really leaves us with a critical question for the future. As our own working lives become more flexible, more project-based, and more global, how will our digital identities need to evolve right along with them?